reenactment bills for the 2024 and 2025 fiscal years transmitted to the legislature by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu last Friday. At the Senate, the revised budgets were approved after the adoption of a consolidated report of the Committee on Appropriations presented by its chairman, Senator Solomon Adiola. The exercise, lawmakers said, was designed to align Nigeria's budget architecture with current fiscal realities, address implementation gaps, and restore discipline to the budgeting process. Presenting the report, Adiola explained that the core objective of the bills was to repeal earlier budget provisions and replace them with revised figures that reflect prevailing revenue constraints, debt sustainability concerns, and emerging national priorities. According to him, the 2024 Appropriation Act was repealed from the original 35.5 trillion and reenacted with an aggregate expenditure of 43.561 trillion naira, with details covering statutory transfers, debt servicing, recurrent and capital expenditure fully captured in the committee's report. On the 2025 fiscal year, Adiola disclosed that the earlier 54.99 trillion naira Appropriation Act was repealed and replaced with a revised total expenditure of 48.316 trillion naira, noting that part of the capital expenditure was rolled over into the 2026 fiscal year due to funding constraints highlighted during the presidential budget presentation. Now, the Federal High Court in Abuja today ordered the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to produce the Bauchi State Commissioner for Finance, Yakubu Adamu, in court on December 30 for arraignment over alleged 4.6 billion naira money laundering. Justice Emeka Nwite issued the order after the EFCC failed for the second time to present Adamu for plea taking, warning that the prosecuting counsel would be sanctioned if the defendant was not produced on the next adjourned date. Adamu and a company, IAB Agro Products and Freight Company Limited, are listed as first and second defendants respectively in a 6-count charge. According to the charge filed on December 19 by the EFCC, Adamu, while acting as branch manager of Polaris Bank Limited in Bauchi, allegedly conspired with Ishaku Muhammad Aliyu, managing director of Makaya Investment Limited, and Muntaka Muhammad Duguri, both said to be at large, to launder about 4.65 billion naira between June and December 2023. The prosecution alleged that the funds were availed by Polaris Bank under the guise of financing the supply of motorcycles to the Bauchi state government through Emmanuel Asomuga General Enterprises, but that the motorcycles were never supplied. Another count accused the defendants of retaining and transferring proceeds of an unlawful act through nominees and third parties, including the alleged transfer of 165.9 million naira to IAB Agro Products and Freight Company Limited. Now, the Nigerian government has instituted new money laundering charges against the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, and his son, Abubakar Abdulaziz Malami, over alleged financial transactions exceeding 1 billion naira. The 16-count charge filed before the Federal High Court in Abuja lists the Federal Republic of Nigeria as a complainant, with Hajiya Bashir Asabe named as a co-defendant. According to court documents, the defendants are accused of handling, transferring, and concealing funds suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activities. Investigators allegedly traced a total of 1 billion naira to a sterling bank account linked to the transactions. The prosecution claims the funds were laundered through corporate entities, including Metropolitan Autotech Limited, which was allegedly used as a front to obscure the source and movement of the money. It is further alleged that between 2015 and 2025, several properties in Abuja, Kano, and Kebbi states were acquired with illicit funds. The properties reportedly include luxury homes in high-end areas such as Maitama, Asokoro, Warimpa, and Jabi, with some transactions said to have occurred while Malami was in office as Attorney General. One of the counts alleges that between July 2022 and June 2025, the defendants procured Metropolitan Autotech Limited to conceal the unlawful origin of over 0.1 billion naira, an offense set to contravene the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. The charge sheet also outlines the alleged use of bank accounts, hotel businesses, and real estate firms to retain, move, or disguise large sums of money, including payments for hotels, plaza, duplexes, and landed properties. Prosecutors argue that the defendants reasonably ought to have known the funds were derived from illegal activities. As you do know, Malami served as Nigeria's Attorney General from 2015 to 2023 under former President, now late Muhammadu Buhari, and faced repeated corruption allegations during his tenure, which he consistently denied. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) has confirmed a terrorist attack on its personnel stationed at Wawa area of Borgu local government area of Niger State. Commandant of the Corps in the state, Mr. Suberu Siyaka Anivie, who confirmed the incident while briefing newsmen in Mina today, said that the attackers came in large numbers a few minutes after midnight but were unable to operate freely due to the alertness and prompt response of personnel on duty. The commandant explained that the personnel attempted to repel the attackers, but the situation became difficult due to the numerical strength of the terrorists and the darkness in the area. According to him, the attackers used torchlights to identify approaching persons before opening fire, forcing the personnel to tactically maneuver and take cover. Siyaka Anivie said the personnel abandoned their operational vehicle while moving to safety, but the attackers assumed they were still inside and shot repeatedly at it. He said the vehicle was riddled with bullets, with its windscreen damaged and all 4 tires punctured. The commandant added that the tires were later replaced and the vehicle was driven back to the NSCDC headquarters in Mina, Niger State. Now, former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, who was granted bail by an Abuja High Court in an order dated December 23, 2025, is still being detained. Now, in a statement issued by his aide, Malam Bello Doka, he described the continued detention of the former AGF as illegal and a violation of due process. Doka accused the Commission of using the media to promote what he called and described as inaccurate narratives about Malami, insisting that the former minister had voluntarily submitted himself for investigation and had met all bail conditions stipulated by the EFCC. The aide warned that detaining Malami despite a subsisting court order portrays the Commission as an institution placing itself above the law. Doka added that Malami's media office considers the continued detention despite the bail granted by a court competent jurisdiction as a violation of the former AGF's fundamental human rights. He alleged that officials of the Commission chased away a court bailiff who attempted to serve the bail order on them. Doka warned that disobedience of court orders by a constitutionally established body could undermine democracy, public confidence in the justice system. Now, United States lawmaker Riley Moore has commended the Adamawa State Governor Ahmadu Fintiri over the pardon granted to Sunday Jackson. Well, Jackson had been sentenced to death for killing a herder in what was described as self-defense. Jackson, a local farmer from Dunn Village in Dempsey local government area, was attacked on his farm in 2015, an incident that resulted in a fatal altercation and his subsequent arrest. He had spent over a decade in custody before the Supreme Court upheld a death sentence for the killing, a ruling that ignited national debate on the rights of self-defense and justice. However, he was granted a pardon just on Monday by the governor of the state, Ahmadu Fintiri. The pardon was signed under Section 212 of the Nigerian Constitution following sustained appeals from community leaders as well as the families of the victim. Following the pardon, Moore praised Fintiri for the decision, actually acknowledging that it is a testament to the fact that discussions between the Nigerian and American governments are yielding intended results. The American lawmaker, however, demanded that the government must ensure Sunday's safety during and following his release. He also commended President Bola Tinubu for what he described as the demonstrated willingness by his administration to work with the U.S. on addressing the persecution of Christians. The congressman noted that he had been vocal in his call seeking the release of Sunday Jackson. Now, in a recent development, leaders of the People's Democratic Party are considering a return to the reconciliation model earlier proposed by Bukola Saraki to resolve the crisis polarizing the party. Party sources said the renewed interest followed a letter from the Independent National Electoral Commission declining to recognize the Tinubu Turaki-led National Working Committee. In the letter dated December 22, made public on Tuesday, INEC told the party's lawyers Akintayo Balogun and Co. that it could not recognize the Turaki-led National Working Committee because the matter remains sub judice. The commission said it could not take any administrative action that might preempt the outcome of the ongoing legal proceedings. The Turaki-led National Working Committee is backed by Governors Sheyi Makinde and Bala Mohammed of Oyo and Bauchi states respectively. The November convention that produced a new set of national officers followed conflicting court rulings from federal high courts in Abuja and an Oyo State High Court sitting in Ibadan. While the Abuja court restrained the PDP from holding the convention over alleged breaches of its constitution and the Electoral Act, the Ibadan court cleared the party to proceed and directed INEC to monitor the exercise. A rival faction opposed to the Ibadan convention, led by the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, later announced a parallel National Working Committee, Board of Trustees, and National Executive Committee. INEC had summoned both factions last week to a roundtable meeting aimed at resolving the division, particularly ahead of preparations for the 2026 FCT area council elections. The PDP leaders are increasingly wary of allowing the dispute to be resolved solely by the courts, fearing that judicial outcomes could deepen the crisis by producing clear winners and losers. Now, Peter Obi is set to officially join the ADC ahead of the 2027 presidential race, while Genius Media reports that strong indications have emerged that former Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi is finalizing plans to fully move into the ADC to pursue his 2027 presidential ambition. Multiple sources familiar with ongoing opposition coalition talks confirmed that discussions around Obi's formal entry into the ADC have reached an advanced stage, with party structures already being adjusted to accommodate his political base and the broader Obedient movement. The development was confirmed on Tuesday in Abuja by Sam Amadi, former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and a close ally of Mr. Peter Obi. Amadi said the push for a unified opposition platform has gained momentum following lessons from the 2023 general elections and growing public discontent across the country. According to him, key Obi loyalists have already begun taking strategic positions within the ADC coalition, signaling preparations for his expected formal declaration. Recent defections include that of Senator Ireti Kingibe, representing the Federal Capital Territory, and Nanadu Usman, a co-chair of the coalition's Kaduna State working structure, are believed to be part of the groundwork ahead of Obi's move. Obi's anticipated entry into the ADC is expected to intensify competition for the party's presidential ticket, which may also attract heavyweights such as Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi, and other prominent political figures. Amadi said a disciplined and united ADC-led coalition could pose a serious challenge to the ruling All Progressives Congress. He noted that although the enthusiasm that powered the Obedient movement in 2023 has waned, it can be revived through the effective mobilization, credible messaging, and stronger protection of votes. He says, and I quote, "If Peter Obi comes on board, as he is likely to do before the end of the year, it significantly improves the chances of the opposition." You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment where I'll be joined via the telephone with Barrister Fred Inzako, who is a political, national and social affairs commentator. To kindly stay with us. right, thank you for staying with us. This is still the World News at 6 right here in Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I have Barrister Fred Nzako currently with me via the telephone. Barrister Fred, compliments of the season to you. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I wish you the same, and compliments of the season to our dear listeners.
Barrister, I heard that you are in Biafra land. How is the East, sir, at this period? Are we experiencing the Hamatan season already?
Yeah, the Hamatan is gradually coming in, but it is a bit delayed. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the issues that has to do with the environment. But the East is generally cool, calm, and quiet. People are upbeat, getting ready to enjoy their Christmas and the subsequent New Year that is coming. There's a lot of hope and excitement in the land.
Okay.
And the East is peaceful and good.
I hope to join you. I hope to join you in January. Hopefully, the company will give me a break, so I quickly travel home and eat correct oha soup. Exactly from the farm.
You need it. You need it away from the stress of Lagos and its environment.
Exactly, Barrister Fred. So let's head on with there are talks that finalization processes are being made for Peter Obi and the Obinted movement to join the ADC. The Senator Nanadu Usman as well as Iriti Kingigbe joining the ADC signals that move. There are also potential talks of possibly the Abia State Governor joining the ADC as well. But Peter Obi himself has not said anything so far, in as much as we heard he's soon to announce the political party he would join. Although there has been silence, Sam Amadi is telling us that the major opposition party that may be a sore point against the APC is the ADC. But the ADC is currently going through its own issues, and it feels like certain members of the party have skeletons in their cupboard which could be used against them. One of them is the former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. He was granted bail. However, more charges were slammed against him and his son. So where do you see this? Do you think, with the perception around the ADC, that maybe Sam Amadi and a couple of Obedients are just being too hopeful, or it's maybe another political party, possibly the Zenith Labour Party or the ADA or the Obedient Political Party, which has not yet been registered anyway, before any form of announcement will be made? What's your take on this development?
Well, you raise a lot of questions on this issue. Number one, the ADC, the Democratic Congress, is presenting itself as a very credible alternative.
Okay.
With the comatose situation of the PDP and the challenges, the in-house challenges of the Labour Party, the ADC seems to be the hope or the alternative hope for the people to express their feelings and their political desires in 2027. Yes, we know that the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, will not rest on their oars from trying to cause problems within the rank of ADC, and they have been trying to do that, and they have been getting some repulsions, being rebuffed by the leadership of the ADC that seems unshakable, and that is why they are now trying to pick the people in the ADC one after the other to unrattle them, and then by so doing unrattle the system. Yes, we know that anybody who has been in government, it is an open secret. Anybody who has been in government in this country, they will have one way or the other to try to bring the person on his knees. Somehow they will, if they want to. But the fact remains that if one's hand is clean, one will not be afraid of any accusation. There are people who have been in government and who serve meritoriously, and they are not afraid of any accusation by any agency. In the case of Abubakar Malami, is the fact that Malami is now in ADC does not completely absolve him from questions if they feel that he handled some issues wrongly while in office. There are so many issues that are still yearning for answers, from the then office of the Attorney General part of which has been the issue of how the judgment debts, the money provided for payment of judgment debt by the government was handled. So there are so many questions they will ask him, issues around EFCC, issues around disbursement of funds for the payment of judgment debts, issues around so many factors that government themselves are aware of.
Okay, so, but Barrister Fred, why was it that when Yahaya Bello presented himself that we were not seeing such actions on him? Since that time, what about Ifeanyi Okowa quickly giving bail, and we've not heard any court appearances then? I mean, if the APC or if this administration...
It is very obvious that the government of the day is doing cherry picking in administration of this criminal justice system.
Is the government of the day supposed to tell the EFCC what to do? Is the EFCC not an autonomous institution that is meant to fight crime?
The EFCC is an agent of the federal government. We have said this times without number that the Ojus describe them as an attack dog of the federal government, and they have continued to live up to that nomenclature. The EFCC, and that is why many governors say that the EFCC establishment should be scuttled, because it was purely, it did not follow the due process. Remember then that it did not follow the due process of law as enshrined in Section 12 of Nigerian 1999 Constitution, that it was an international convention that was domesticated without passing through the due process of legislative input by the various states. We argued this point even in the public media. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court said EFCC should stay. Now, from the existence of EFCC, it's very obvious that EFCC is there at the beck and call of whoever that is the president, especially utilized by President Obasanjo at his whims, utilized by President Muhammad Buhari at his whims, and now being utilized by President Malami Tinubu at his whims. So they can deny this, they can lay all manner of claims. But if you look at the trajectory of the actions and activities of EFCC, you will know that EFCC is not independent, it is not autonomous, and it does not serve the interest of the country. It serves the interest of the party in power. I mean, there are no arguments about this. Otherwise, all these people that you mentioned, their issues, why are some cases not in the retried at the High Court? Is there any judge sitting on the matter? Has it not been swept under the carpet? And now all this is going all around the place, talking about the song of Mr. President. If I go with the same thing, many others the same. My position is that anybody who has his hand filled with issues that require investigation, irrespective of who the person is or the party he professes, must be called to question, must be called to come and give account of his stewardship. But if EFCC is now deciding to attack Mr. A and allow Mr. B to go free because of his political inclination, then that exposes EFCC as being partisan, purely partisan, and then doing the bidding of the federal government. Because there are so many instances that show that EFCC is not autonomous, neither is it independent. Now Malami, they are now chasing Malami up and down. The same Malami that was using EFCC to chase others around. Yes, they say that what goes around comes round. But we must always remember that the interests of Nigeria must be paramount over and above the parochial partisan interests of political individuals.
Barrister, finally, you know that there's an advice that the Turaki-led committee should literally dissolve the PDP, and they should join the ADC. There are fears that is one of the things Peter Obi is afraid of. You have a recycle of members from the APC and PDP. So what differentiates the ADC from the APC if you have more of PDP members who were formerly in the APC joining the ADC? How do you combat corruption with corruption?
Well, politicians move to any camp that they like, and because there is very little ideology, political ideology in Nigeria, if at all it exists at all. If it exists, then the difference is between 6 and half a dozen. And because of that, politicians can move to any personal interest. That is what it is, and we keep saying that. And if we move a little to the left and a little to the right, and the center cannot hold, and then Nigerian politics is what it is. But whatever we are talking about, what is important is that politics must be about the people. As we approach the 2027 election, the people must take a decision. They must decide what they want. And if their decision is to support the ruling party in spite of all these challenges and suffering in the land, then it's the business of the people. It's their choice. And if they decide to vote another political party, then they have to take that decision. Even though the people are complaining that they seem to be confused, because the man that you called the corrupt man yesterday will join another party tomorrow, and will be telling you that he has become a saint. So you now you have a problem of who do you now vote in?
Yeah.
But policies of political parties should be the paramount interest of the people when they are going to vote, so that they will not vote a group of people who will have very little concern about their welfare and about their interests.
All right,
and as we approach 2027, that should be the paramount ideology that people must follow.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Fred Nzakwa. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And that's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Nwachuku. Good evening. Born to Live is coming up